All right. What up, perps? Make sure I get a few things set up. This is just kind of a pop-up hangout. In fact, I got to turn some. Let's see. I got to change a couple things here real fast. Let's present. Let's share this. This one.
Supported
There
2
we
years
go.
ago. So I urge my colleagues to vote yes and keep the government open, help people in need, help the rural
That's
economy,
coming through.
and let us move forward with our work. With that, Mr. Speaker, I urge passage of the bill and yield back.
And
Gentleman yields. Question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill HR 10515? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative.
let's see. Hopefully that doesn't kill the sound too much. Run Gun, what's up, my brother? Blue
For
Curtain
what purpose
Burner,
does the
my
gentlewoman
brother,
from
how's it
Connecticut
going?
seek recognition?
Guess what? I request a recorded
All
vote.
right, so they're going to go through a recorded vote on this.
Does the gentlewoman ask?
And nays.
With great surprise, the yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number
For
having
those of you
risen,
who don't know,
yeas and
these
nays are
assholes are
ordered.
voting on
Members
another
will record
continuing
their votes by
resolution
electronic
to
device.
completely
This
screw us
is a
for the next 2
15-minute
months
vote.
while they come up with another plan to screw us.
So we've seen some spirited debate in the House this evening as members
We might
begin
go back
voting
and
here
look
on
at
a
a couple
government
people's
funding proposal.
speeches.
Should let you know that
Depends
House
on how
Speaker
long
Mike
I'm on.
Johnson
This
is
is just
set
kind
to
of a
comment
pop-up
on the
hangout.
legislation in just a moment. We're planning to bring that to you
The
live
House
when
and
it
the
gets
Senate
underway.
are in session right
After
now.
a week of negotiations with several versions of this bill being proposed, the House, as we said, now voting to extend government
Right
funding
now,
for
the
3
Senate
months
doesn't
through
have
March
anybody
14th,
speaking. This is a
2025.
U.S. House.
The bill also suspends the debt ceiling until January of 2027. There's also money for hurricane and natural disaster victims. It's being considered under suspension of the normal rules, which means it'll require a 2/3 majority for passage. Some reporting on the outcome of this vote. Politico's Jordan Carney saying that Arizona Republican Andy Biggs is a no, while Punchbowl's Samantha Handler says Congressman Richard McCormick, Republican from Georgia, also voting against the measure. In the meantime, The Hill now reporting that Tennessee Republican Andy
So
Ogles
that'll be funny.
also
They'll
voting
vote
no.
through
Some Republican
this
members
on
are
the
also
debate,
openly
and
predicting
then
it fails,
I guess have to vote on
and are
final
skeptical
passage.
that it
I
can
don't know
clear
whether
the
I'll be
rule.
here that long.
House Speaker again, House Speaker Mike Johnson
I was
expecting
just
to make remarks
interested
on
in
the
looking
bill
at it, hanging out
shortly,
for a little bit.
and again, we'll bring that to you.
MC,
as
my
we
brother, how
can
you doing
live
up there?
on C-SPAN.
How's the Michigander? Let's see. We'll do this. I'll share out a couple things just in case we're on for a little while. Depends on how long these jackasses go. Anytime they look at you and tell you, oh, this is a recorded vote, it's going to be a 15-minute vote. It's like
Again, waiting to hear
45
from
minutes
House
later.
Speaker Mike Johnson. In the meantime, we'll hear from some of the other House Republican
And
members.
then
who
they'll
are
finally
speaking
show
now.
back up and get through that part of the vote.
Congressman, Republicans who vote no. You're criticizing Democrats, but you're not criticizing Republicans who vote no on this?
Oh, we'll see. This is all to pad their pockets, basically. I mean, that's what this is all about.
Tell you what, our party symbol is an elephant, isn't it? And an elephant's got a long memory.
I've got some others that I want to do here shortly over some moral arguments and stuff. Some that I had forgotten about that Warsaw sent me today.
President Trump didn't make a demand. Let's be very clear. President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party.
Dude, MC, I saw that in
a
2ADU's
for the
chat.
next 4 years. So
Apparently, the Republicans grew a set up there and just decided to walk
because
out.
we're building the
which
muscle
is
memory
beautiful.
between the executive branch and the legislative branch. This is the first time we've worked collectively together after President Trump was
And
elected.
for you guys who
So
don't
I
know,
expect this
MC's
to
up,
be a sort
up
of
in the
disjointed
north,
process because
and
now we
he's
are
got some
understanding how to
pretty
communicate
serious
with each other.
gun control
So this-
hanging over
this
his
is a good
head.
thing.
I mean, not a joke at all.
Yeah, I can't speak for the president.
And apparently, the Michigan legislature tonight decided they weren't going to play that game, and they walked
Now we know how
out.
to work together. All right, I guess.
Or at least the Republicans did, and told the Democrats they could have it. And Democrats couldn't get a quorum call, so they couldn't vote on anything. So that pretty much stopped them dead in their tracks for now.
Last thing, Merry Christmas.
Now they're coming back on the December 31st to try to pass some stuff. Frag out, my brother. How you and the dog doing, brother? Daniel, what is up, brother man? How are you tonight? Like I said, I just give me a second. I'm just kind of sending some stuff out. We may go back and look at. I caught one or two speeches from a couple people during the debate for this continuing resolution that were actually pretty good. Chip Roy fired him up as always. So we'll see. If enough Republicans actually hold to their guns, they
Again,
hold Democrats here.
members on Capitol Hill as
But
members
you
are
guys know we
currently
got
voting to
a
extend
rather
government funding for 3 months
weak
through
Republican
March
party.
14th,
So
2025. The bill also
Fluffy!
excuse me,
Brother
suspends
man, how's
the
it
debt
going?
ceiling.
Evening,
Here's
everybody.
House Speaker Mike Johnson.
This is Washington. This is how
Alabama, what's
the
going on,
lawmaking
Mr.
is
Live
done.
Life? How are you
It's
today,
a long
bro?
process. Sometimes it takes a while to reach consensus, but we're going to do the right thing here tonight. The American Relief Act of 2024 will provide temporary funding
wish
to
these
get us
bastards
into
would give
the
us
first
some
part
relief.
of next year. We're excited about that because Republicans will have control of the White House and the Senate and the House, and we'll be able to make the key decisions about funding for the 2025 fiscal year. So this will allow us the opportunity to do that. In addition, we're going to take
Like I said,
care
guys, this is
of
just a hangout. Let me
Americans
know
who have
about the
suffered,
volume if I need to turn this
true
up and turn
devastating
myself down. I'm
emergencies and
just kind of playing with
disasters.
a
We
few
had, of
steps
course,
too.
a record hurricane season with Helene and Milton that did real damage across as many as 6 states. There's $100 billion
Caught up on
to
Reacher?
provide
Hell yeah, man.
much needed relief to those people, those Americans who've really been struggling and still are from those storms. And in addition to that, we have $10 billion of emergency aid to our farmers and ranchers. Many of the small farms in America are on the verge of collapse.
Good deal,
Primarily
Live
because of
Life, brother.
Bidenomics and
Enjoy
inflation,
that
the
shit.
high cost of
I mean,
inputs and
enjoy it.
fertilizer and seed and everything that they need.
My
to
two
keep
little
those
lunatics
farms
are running
going.
around the
And they've
house
had 3
now.
lost
So
years in a row. Some of it because of drought, a lot of it because of the economics of it, and it doesn't make sense for lenders to
they is
provide
doing
them
their
funding.
thing.
And so this is a stopgap measure to save those farms. To
No, and
save
I really
production in
really
America,
wasn't
to ensure
gonna go live
that we have
tonight,
that
but
diversity in the marketplace.
kind
And
of
our
watching
food
some of this
supply is
BS
directly
today, and I
related to
figured,
national
hell, if I'm gonna
security.
watch
So
a
it's a
little bit
very,
of it, I'll
very
share it
important
out
thing
with
for
everybody.
both parties to do.
I mean, why take
To
the pain
provide that
myself?
aid. We also have a clean extension of the Farm Bill,
Another
clean
episode
extension
of
of
Coop
health
Therapy.
extenders that are necessary, and a couple of other details. Everything that I just told you was negotiated in a bipartisan fashion. Both parties agreed to these terms, and that's what's on the floor right now. The only change in this legislation is that we are going to push the debt limit to January 30th of
Frag out, I would
2027.
not put that
We
past you.
will push it beyond that or to that time point. And
Hell,
that
if I
will
was
allow
close,
us
I'd
to
come
do
do
the
it with you.
important work of governing in the new Congress. Why does that matter? Because we are committed to cutting hundreds of billions of dollars of wasteful spending out of the federal budget. That's what we're going to do. The DOGE effort with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, the commitments that President Trump made on the campaign trail
The
will
Senate's
come to
still working
fruition
on
when we
another
get about
bill,
that very
Social
important
Security
work for the
benefits
American people.
bill.
The government is too big. It does too many things, and it does very few things well. We're going to
I
cut
thought
and
they would
limit
be
the
picking
size
this
and
other
scope
one
of the
up tonight
government,
too.
get it under control for the
See,
American people. We
brother
have a mandate
man.
to do so. President
Merry
Trump received
Christmas.
77 million votes in
Welcome to the
election.
shit show,
House
as
Republicans,
always.
74.7 million votes, the most
Well,
in
let me
history.
see something.
We know what we are to do. We're determined to do that. And even though this vote would push the debt limit to 2027, it in no way reflects any
I'm
lack
seriously
of
playing this
enthusiasm on our
stupid
part
game with
to
this
get
shit right
about
now.
those serious cuts for the American people. We have to
Let me try
have
to do this
fiscal
on another,
responsibility as a core
on
principle of our
another
party.
screen.
So that's what the House Republicans are committed to. Every single one of them. We will get together and do that work, and it begins in early January. I hope that this vote passes tonight. We will send it to the Senate.
That's
We
live.
will come in roaring in January for the American
It's
people.
going,
Thank you so
brother
much.
man. It's going. We're still, I think, on the right side of the grass.
Speaker Mike Johnson, as the House votes to extend government funding for 3 months through March 14th of 2025. Again, the bill also suspending the debt ceiling until January of 2027. There's money for hurricane and natural disaster victims also included. The Biden administration has responded to the situation on Capitol Hill, with spokesman Karine Jean-Pierre posting
Oh,
this.
God.
Republicans are doing the bidding of their billionaire
I
benefactors at the
didn't get to
expense
see
of
this
hardworking
earlier, so we're
Americans.
going to torture you
Republicans
guys
are
with this
breaking
while
their
we're
word
waiting
to
on this
support
vote to come in.
bipartisan agreement.
Development. We don't fully understand what's driving that. We don't fully
And I
understand
give you
how important or
more of the
what
earlier
exactly to
debates.
sustain that progress. But my gosh, it got
Digi bag
attention
booster.
all over
Hell
this country.
yeah, Z.
This
Sam, my brother, what's going
it
on? How
really
you
got
doing,
people
brother?
to sit up and pay attention in a new way. And
Yeah,
a
we
lot
all
of
doing
deeper
good, Sam. We
reflections
just,
on
like I said,
what
man, we're
this
trying to
means in a
we're
very
trying to stay on the
positive
right
way
side of the
for
grass
being
right now.
able to rally
Hopefully you're doing
people
well, brother.
around the next steps. Related to that is, where are we
And then we're
having
sharing
the
this shit
greatest
show with you guys.
continued
Let's see.
problem in this
Let's speed
large,
this up a little bit.
complicated country that we
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir. Pursuant to the permission granted in Clause 2H of Rule 2 of the Rules of the U.S. House
So
of
this is
Representatives,
getting
the
into the
clerk receives the
debate on
following
this
message from the
3-month
Secretary of the
spending
Senate on December
um,
19th, 2024,
continuing
at
resolution
2:49 p.m. That the
for
Senate
which they
agrees
actually
to the
raised the
House amendment
spending
to the
cap in
bill,
some cases
Senate
for like 2 years.
709, Senate 3791.
Make it make sense.
Senate 4367, that the Senate agreed to, Senate Concurrent Resolution
And I'll try to keep an eye on
46,
this vote
that
and
the
see where it's
Senate
going.
passed.
Open and operating
All
to
right, we're
provide
speeding her
needed
up.
services for Americans. It's why I stand before you. With government funding running out, it's our duty to act. When the House Appropriations
I like how
Committee
they,
began our
they
process of drafting
Phil,
bills for
brother man,
fiscal
what's
year
going? Hey, I got to drop a link in the
2025,
chat
we
in just a
knew
sec. We'll
we
get
had
someone else in here to
work
hang out.
quickly to pass
Yeah,
the House,
why
put
these
the
people
House
think
in the
government
best position
actually
possible.
not
To
being
that
at
end,
work
we
is some
successfully
huge
reported all 12 of our
deal?
annual
I still haven't
appropriation
figured
bills
that
out
shit
of
out
the
yet,
committee
besides
and
the
succeeded
fact
in
that they're all
passing 5 of
tyrants
them
and
across the floor.
really think that they rule our
Unfortunately,
lives.
the House does not act on its own.
It's the only
And
thing I
I'm
can come up
sorry to
with.
say, whether we like it or not, our colleagues in the Senate have
Copy
input in
that.
this process. To date, the Senate has yet to pass a
Let me
single
throw this
fiscal
out, 'cause this
year
is an open
2025
hangout, guys. We're
appropriations
just
bill across the floor.
we're
As
just
time
watching
went
the
on,
fucking
it
world
became
burn at this
clear
point.
that we would not conclude the FY25 process by the deadline of
And
December
then
20th,
let
meaning
me pin
another
that.
extension is necessary. I know there's great frustration that a second continuing resolution is necessary, and quite frankly,
God
I
damn it.
share in that feeling. But a government shutdown is never a good
You're
alternative.
gonna click on something,
So
you're gonna pin
today's
it or
bill
do
comes
something
to
like that,
government
and it
through
just
March
throws
14th.
the message
This
into
will
no
allow
man's land
Republicans
for no
to engage
goddamn
President
reason.
Trump as we negotiate a final year funding bills that fulfill the
It
mandate
happens
of
to
the
me.
American people and our America First agenda. Further, this route ensures
So
that
get
there
over
are
that
no
cold
undue
quick, brother man. That
disruptions to our
shit's been
national
sucking.
security and the vital programs that our constituents rely on.
We've had
Today's bill also
a couple
extends
colds and
out of the
bronchitis
depths
and some
sent out
sinus
the
issues
debt
running
limit
around.
for a
That's
further
in the
2
wrong
years to
freaking one.
January 20th, 27. This will
Yes.
allow President-elect Trump
This
to
tube
begin
is
his term
retarded.
without needing
Tube
to
is
immediately
retarded.
address our national debt limit, allowing us
There
to
we
move
go. Now we
forward
got the right
on the
one up there.
many other pressing concerns of the American people. Finally, the
Hey, y'all
legislation
show up to
also
this shit show.
provides
I just drive
much
the
needed
boat.
relief to Americans struggling to recover from recent natural disasters. This
I
includes
am just here
construction
to
in my
talk
own
shit
district,
and
which faced tornadoes that ripped through Oklahoma.
watch the
From
fucking
floods
clown
and
show, man.
droughts to wildfires and other storms, communities across the United States have
Let me
suffered.
bring that back up. to
These
the full
realities
screen,
have been
too.
grim.
I'm still
I
swat back.
recently visited North Carolina at the invitation of my good friend and fellow Appropriations Committee member Chuck Edwards, and saw with my own eyes the
So,
devastation and damage
the
caused by
vote for
Hurricane
the
Helene's
continuing
catastrophic
resolution or
flooding.
for this one.
Months after the storm, countless people remain without basic necessities.
Okay, so this is for kind of the replacement continuing resolution. So the bill they're voting on now doesn't have all the pork shit built into it that the Democrats wanted.
We need to provide
So so far there are 120 Republicans that are voting for it, and there are 26 Republicans voting against it and 155 Democrats voting against it.
Before life returns to normal.
So
additional investments necessary to
remember, this
provide
is,
needed
I
assistance
gotta
to our fellow
maybe say
Americans.
that a little bit.
Today's measure fully funds our existing relief requirements.
We got to say that a little bit
ensuring that
more
help and resources can get
kind of to the
those who
point.
desperately
This is
need
for the
them.
replacement
Rural
continuing
communities, particularly our
resolution.
farmers and ranchers, are facing
So
a
this
tough
is
farm
trying
economy
to
in the aftermath of multiple disasters.
basically make a
These are
turd less
prioritized in
shitty,
this legislation.
but we're still
While
going to
there's
take a
still
really
long
big bite
road
out of it.
ahead for recovery efforts and rebuilding, this aid will mark a vital step forward. For these
Yes,
reasons,
I
I
hear
urge
that,
all
Sam.
of my colleagues to vote in support of HR 10515, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and reserve the balance of my time.
And I will have
Gentleman
to.
reserves. Gentlewoman from Connecticut.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
I rise in strong opposition to this continuing resolution.
So right now, if I'm
We
looking at
had
it
a
right there,
strong
27 Republicans
bipartisan,
voting against
bicameral agreement among the leadership of both
this
parties
new
at both ends
replacement
of the Capitol
resolution.
to avert a
28 now.
disastrous and pointless
160
government
Democrats,
shutdown,
164
to provide
Democrats voting against it.
desperately needed disaster aid and emergency assistance, and to provide Congress with the time required to enact full-year bills, funding bills for fiscal year
So
2025.
got 100 right now that
That
haven't
bill
voted,
was a result of a compromise.
and it's
There were
136
things
to
in it that
194.
Democrats liked and Republicans did not.
So it looks like this one
And
is
there were
more than
things in
likely,
it
yeah,
that
it's more than likely
Republicans
going to fail
liked
just to
and
the number of
Democrats would have
Republicans that actually
preferred
voted
to
against.
leave out. But that is the nature of
And
government.
what the hell
funding
that
bills.
purple-haired thing is right
They
there, I have no
require
idea.
compromise and the support of
Don't blame me
Democrats
for
and
the optics,
Republicans
kids. I'm just
that
showing you
we
what's
in
on
the
C-SPAN.
House and Senate need to have in order to become a law.
I think she probably
That
did.
was true throughout the 118th
Here, let me do
Congress.
this. We'll have to back, it'll back her up a little bit, but
Agreement among the leadership of
that way
both
we can see the
parties
vote
at
tallies up here.
both ends of the Capitol to avert a disastrous and pointless government shutdown,
Where the hell I'm
to
looking
provide
for.
desperately needed disaster aid and emergency assistance, and to provide Congress with the time required to enact full-year bills,
Yeah.
funding
Dude,
bills
yeah,
for
you've
fiscal
seen
year
her in some other
2025.
freaking hearings we've watched.
That bill was a result of a compromise. There were things in it that Democrats liked and Republicans did not. And there were things in it that
Hey, look, this
Republicans
purple
liked
trees
and
in
Democrats would have
Texas can be
preferred
dangerous,
to
flag
leave
out. You
out.
got to watch out
But
for those.
that is the nature of government funding bills. They require compromise.
Oh, this
And the
chick is
support
wild,
of
man.
Democrats and
Run, yeah,
Republicans
she is
that
wild.
we in the House and Senate need to have in order to become
She did a
law.
hell of a lot of acid in the 60s.
That was true throughout the
Like, all of
118th
it.
Congress, despite Republicans'
When they
repeated
said don't do the
and
brown
failed
acid, she
efforts
immediately
to
ran
write
around and picked up
extreme and
every bit of
partisan
brown
funding
acid at
bills,
Woodstock she
and
could
that
find.
will be true in the
Ron Lane, what's
119th
up, my brother?
Congress as well.
Duck.
Yes, we were on the cusp
Don't make Misty get that,
of an
that pin hand
agreement
out on you.
to move this country forward.
No, she don't want no trespassers,
Yesterday,
Run Gun.
a multi-billionaire with apparently no working knowledge of government or of appropriations, a self-appointed president of the United States, Elon Musk, issued a marching order for House Republicans to go against their own elected leadership and shut down the government. Soon after,
That's okay,
Congress is
Frag
on
out.
a
I got
fast
something,
track to a
something back over
government
there. I still
shutdown.
got to mail out to
House
Ron.
Republicans are responsible for any harm
The text
and
is the least of my
uncertainty
worries.
brought upon the American people. And should some get their wish for a month-long government shutdown, they will be responsible for cleaning up their mess come Inauguration Day. We are in completely
The good thing is
unprecedented
this
times.
should go to the live,
The world's
which the
richest
live
man,
views up here. So
an
as soon as they
unelected
get this
contractor
vote squared
reaping
away, this should come back live.
billions in government contracts, is calling the shots in the Republican Party. Who is in charge? And at the behest of the world's richest man, who no one voted
See,
for,
these people
the
don't think
United
you should
States
be able to make
Congress
money
has been
unless you
thrown
work
into
for the government.
pandemonium. We had a bill on Tuesday that was the result of a year and a half of work, in which had the input of Republicans and Democrats, their interests, their concerns, the needs of their constituents. This bill has no such bipartisan input, and we are considering it in mere minutes after it was released. It removed key provisions to limit the power of pharmaceutical companies. It abandons our bipartisan efforts to ensure American dollars and intellectual property are reinvested in American businesses and workers, instead of fueling the Chinese Communist Party's technology and capabilities. It includes a 2-year raising of the debt limit. What does that do? That serves to allow Republicans to cut
Oh,
taxes
fuck,
on
man.
the ultra
I need to
wealthy
come hang
like
out with you
Elon
guys for a little
Musk,
while tonight.
raise deficits on the backs of the American people. We must immediately return to considering the bipartisan, bicameral
Can't type for
compromise
shit, but
legislation.
I can still
That's
talk shit.
Speaker Johnson, Leader Schumer, Leader Jeffries, Leader McConnell, and the 4 corners of the Appropriations Committee reached
Yeah, I mean,
earlier
honestly,
this week.
dude, if I took a
We
crap
must
in a box and
unequivocally
threw it in a closet
reject
for
the illegitimate
2 years,
oligarchy
3
that
years,
seeks to
9 years, 10
usurp
years,
the
it's still a
authority
crap in a
of the United
box.
States
It
Congress
really is.
and of the American people.
My
With that,
brother
I
from the
reserve
north, Mike
balance of my
McClune
time.
Lagoon.
Gentleman from North Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
Speaking
Thank you,
spell.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's asking a little too
I
much, Z.
rise in strong support of
That's
the
asking way
American
too much,
Relief
especially the
Act.
spell part.
The basis of this bill, we all know, is a continuing resolution to fund the government to prevent us from shutting down until
I want to get
sometime
the
into the first quarter. Now, I admit, I think we all know a continuing resolution is not the best way to fund our government, nor to be responsible for our taxpayers' dollars. We have an appropriations process that should work, and to the credit
When's the
of
last time our
Chairman
government actually
Cole,
passed a budget?
that did work through the Appropriations Committee, and I certainly appreciate the chairman's strong leadership
Because the last one I
in
remember
getting
being
us through
passed
that.
was like
And
2008.
it's noteworthy that he pointed out the Appropriations Committee by itself does not get to determine how we fund our government. We've got many needs and necessary reasons to keep our government functioning. The American people are counting on us. Our military, our border guards are counting on us. Our enemies are watching. We all know North
You wanna know
Korea,
who's counting on
Russia,
y'all.
China, and others do not
It
have
ain't
to
us.
face issues such as a government shutdown. And
We
also,
pretty much want all you
keeping the
bastards to
government
go
open is
away.
critical
Right
to
off
the
into the
district that
sunset.
I represent
Not come
in
back.
Western North Carolina. But I'd like to just take a moment and speak specifically to the disaster relief portion of this bill. As most of you are aware, North Carolina was hit by Hurricane Helene on September the 27th of this year, and we experienced unprecedented disaster.
Yeah, Frag, you ain't
and
wrong about that. That's the
destruction.
reason all you see all my graves, baby.
It's going to cost North Carolina about
Except
$58
for the only,
billion
except for the
to
ones I only show on
rebuild.
my other page.
This storm was the most
You gotta look up
deadly
some older
in North
stuff.
Carolina's history. We lost 126,000 homes that were either
Them
damaged
great curly
or
ass toe hairs.
destroyed. Countless
Dirty
people are
bastards.
now
I know where y'all
homeless. I want to thank Speaker Johnson for personally visiting Western North Carolina, getting his boots muddy and seeing what we were dealing with there. I'd like to thank Leader Scalise for visiting Western North Carolina.
Want
And
to shut
Chairman
down, got a
Cole
president.
also took time to come
Want to
down. Many
pass the
other
bill.
members were there.
Yeah.
We're going to see
You know, at this
a
point,
number of members on this floor
and
argue
depending on
against
where
this
we're
bill.
at on anywhere,
Mr. Speaker, I
Biden's
need
going to
to
pass any
remind you
turd that passes his
that
desk right
folks
now. He's
in
going to sign
Western
it.
North Carolina have been
Trump is
paying their
not going to
taxes
go
for
anywhere near as
decades
extreme as we want
that
him
have
to go.
gone towards funding disasters in every other part of this country, from California to the
Ron, I don't have
Midwest
white hair, brother. I got
to,
gray
to
hair.
the Gulf Coast.
I have worked for every one of those
Without
sons of
argument.
bitches, too.
But Mr. Speaker, now North Carolina needs our help. They need the help of this body. I'm sure some folks are going to speak against this bill. I urge you to think about the disasters that you may have experienced and what you've seen in the news and what you're hearing from me about the need in Western North Carolina. I even heard one member last week refer to
Yeah, I hear
recipients
that,
of
Frag.
disaster relief as coastal elites. I represent about
Dude, yeah, Trump is not going to
783,000
go
people
anywhere
in the
near as far as what we
mountains
want him
of
to go.
Western North Carolina.
just
And I can
not.
promise you, not one single one of those is a coastal
Go
elite.
Musk,
Those
everybody
are
else.
hardworking, tax-paying
I
Americans.
seriously think
that
there's enough
deserve
shit's going to
the
happen
help
where they're
of
going to
this
be so
body
busy
at this
dealing,
time.
trying to
And
put
I
out brush
urge
fires They're not going to
passage
have time
of
to even
this
get to their
bill.
agenda.
I
if
must
they were going to
also
do it in
say
the first
that
place.
I'm disappointed, even though there's $110 billion in here to help begin to rebuild my great state.
Oh God, see, I haven't
There
even
is
looked
a
today.
provision for private roads and bridges that was stripped out of this for some reason in the last moments of pulling this bill together. The folks from FEMA
Yeah,
in Western
Sam.
North Carolina have told
Um,
me the most significant
well,
difference that they
might not
see
be
in
me
this
for one.
disaster
I need a
versus
salad
those they've dealt with
and a
in other
steak,
areas are the
baked
number of
potato.
private roads and bridges that we have. And so I'm hoping, and
Them,
I
on the other
appreciate
hand, well,
Chairman Cole offering to help me get this provision back in with some other vehicle at some other point in the future. So, members, I urge your support of this bill. North
well, yeah,
Carolina
them on the other hand.
deserves and needs the respect and the help to rebuild. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Gentleman yields.
I have been
Gentleman
in meetings
from
and
Oklahoma
asked my boss if
reserves.
he'd shoot me in the leg so I could
Gentleman
get out
from
of it.
Connecticut.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New York, the distinguished Democratic leader, Mr. Jeffries.
Gentleman
Oh
from New
God,
York
yeah, here
is
we go with a
recognized.
fucked up Muppet. Miss Wayne, duck. How's that pimp hand, Miss Misty?
Thank the distinguished gentlelady from the great state of Connecticut, our top Democrat Appropriations Committee, for yielding and for her incredibly strong and steadfast leadership.
Come on, Miss.
during
You
this
know you got them
process.
on at least 3/4 of
House
that.
Democrats, House Republicans, Senate Democrats, and Senate Republicans reached a bipartisan agreement to fund the government, prevent a shutdown, and meet the needs of the American people. We reached a bipartisan agreement to provide disaster assistance to people who had their lives turned upside down by extreme weather events, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and wildfires all across America. We reached a bipartisan agreement to be there for farmers and families, children, seniors, working class Americans all across the country. The men and women who serve this country in uniform and are veterans. House Republicans have abandoned that bipartisan agreement that we entered into in good faith. A bill that House Republicans negotiated gave us your word that we were going to move forward together on behalf of the American people. There was a Republican drafted bill that was posted by House Republicans. And then one or two puppet masters weigh in, and the extreme MAGA Republicans decide to do the bidding of the wealthy, the well-off, the well-connected, millionaires and billionaires, not working class
Illegals need their paychecks
all across America. The bill that is before us today is just part of an effort to shut down the government. Unless we as representatives of the American people bend to the will of just a handful of millionaires and billionaires, because the provisions in this bill, particularly as it relates to suspending the debt ceiling for 2 years,
Minnie
are
Wayne, how's it
designed
going?
to bring about
Someone
a
say puppet?
massive
No,
tax
Muppet,
cut
Minnie.
unpaid for
Muppet, not puppet.
for wealthy
And I hate to
donors
defame my Muppets because I love
and
me
for
some
wealthy
Muppets.
corporations, for millionaires and billionaires who clearly
He looks like a
some in this Congress
malfunctioning Jim
are
Henson
working for.
Muppet.
And this bill
The
is
way this guy
validation
speaks
for it.
drives me absolutely insane.
Now, what's been interesting to me is that for decades, the Republican Party has lectured America
Oh, more than likely, Frag.
about
I wouldn't be
fiscal
surprised if it was
responsibility.
600.
about the debt and the deficit. It's always been phony. This bill
It
proves it.
seriously would not surprise me if that one graphic sitting behind him
The
was
one thing we do
$600.
know is that every time a Republican president comes into office,
Are they going to call the vote? Hold on. All right, so this is live, so they killed that part. So they got to be trying to. Well, no, they should have let that play till they actually started calling the vote. So, yeah, could be a tad bit of fuckery on foot.
And wraps up this House session. Members tried and failed to pass a temporary spending bill that would have kept the government open past midnight Eastern on Friday. Reports indicate that Republican leaders will try again to pass the deal with a rule. This would lower the threshold for passage to a simple majority. If the House Rules Committee meets tonight on this bill, our cameras will be there to bring you live coverage as the 118th Congress works in its final days to avert a government shutdown. We'll have more live House coverage when members return here on C-SPAN.
So hold on, wait a second.
C-SPAN's Washington.
You guys didn't even show the vote totals, which I'm pretty sure the vote totals on that failed anyway, because there were, hell, at last count, there was 30-something Republicans that voted for or voted against this replacement for the continuing resolution. Remember, this was the stripped down replacement and didn't have all the pork in it. So there were 30-something Republicans that voted against that. All the Democrats voted against it. But you didn't show me the vote totals. Yeah, you think there could be a little bit of fuckery going on. Just a I still can't use all my fucking fingers. Just a little bit. I'm basically trying to operate my mouse these days with my fucking right ring finger. Hold on, which one? This one, I think. No, that says that's ended. Let me refresh some stuff and go poke around for a second. Or I'll tell you what, hold on. Before I do that, let me see. Let me refresh this. Let me make sure I'm on the right one. So this House of Representatives, let me see if I can find Chip Roy real fast. Because Chip did give a really good. And see, normally I can search for this by chapter or speaker. There's Akeem.
For Missouri has the floor. The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, for the seniors of America,
All right,
for
we'll
the
finish out
unions in America,
Akeem real
for
fast.
the veterans of America,
And let
for
me
the
refresh
least, the
something
lost,
else.
and the left behind, for the poor, the sick, and the afflicted.
poor, the sick,
we
the
are going to
afflicted.
continue to fight for everyday Americans.
Democrats are
That is
fighting
why
for
we are
all of you,
voting
everyday
no
Americans.
on this bill, and to stop this reckless,
It's the
regressive,
many, yeah.
and
is.
reactionary
John,
Republican
what's up, brother?
shutdown. Vote no.
Merry Christmas to you too. There.
The House will be in order.
They're
Members are
saying the
reminded to
Senate's
direct their
still
comments
live.
to the chair. The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves.
Yes.
Gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Let's
Thank you very
see.
much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I recognize my very good friend, the distinguished gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Alford, for 2 minutes.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
Alfred does
Thank you,
decent.
Mr. Chief. Today,
And
the
hopefully
state
I'll kick
hours
off,
to
I don't
prepare,
know,
but I
another
will
stream or
tell
two
you,
before now
if a
Christmas, just
shutdown
hang out with you
occurs
guys.
because we do not pass this continuing resolution today, it will
because it
not be a
really is
Republican
fucking dirty
shutdown.
at
It
this
will be
point.
a Democrat shutdown. And when it goes over to the Senate, it will be the Schumer shutdown.
They're not going to call the
We'll
Schumer
suspend.
shutdown.
The gentleman will suspend. The House will come to order. The gentleman from Missouri has the floor. The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker,
All right, since we're not
this
live,
is not about millionaires.
since we're not live, let me pause this for a second. So, anybody who's been paying attention in the last couple of years has seen leftist Democrat organizations absolutely invade the Congress, take over the House floor, stop official proceedings, not be charged, walk off like nothing happened. We've seen them burn cities, I mean, horribly. Most of them be bailed out, not be charged. Maybe before now and next year, I'll go through this new January 6th report. We can talk about the Fed's direction a little bit. But even as much as social media is taken over, you're still not getting an honest reporting of fact from 90% of your media. Because even if mainstream media still holds 10%, the vast majority of people are still going to that 10% source for the 90% of their information. That's just the way people are.
This is not about.
So, and getting to kind of the back to the point there. So, when Republicans put in a continuing resolution like they are tonight, which would cut all the pork out, which would fund the government, which would fund disaster relief, but wouldn't do all the other bullshit pork programs, and it gets shot down, the media is still going to report it like, oh, Republicans shut down the government. You're never going to get a fair fucking shake, dude. Sack up. Don't worry about what anybody thinks about it.
Billionaires. This is about our farmers. This is about our military getting the pay that they deserve.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Christmas
Z, we have to let them back
and New
in.
Year's.
Um,
This is about the future of this nation. This continuing resolution.
these people, and Legally Armed and a couple other guys did some videos about it today, where Dan Crenshaw was doing a bitch fest that part of what's getting this shut down is that the people in the House side won't get like a $60-something thousand a year pay raise. $60-something thousand a year pay raise for doing the bullshit that they do to us on a constant basis. They want like a $60-something thousand pay raise, and they're getting pissy because they're not going to get their pay raise. My sympathy for that, I must have left it in my other pants. I can't remember whether I put it through the wash machine, then through the dryer and it shrunk, or whether it got thrown out. But yeah, my give a fuck for that so low, I can't even goddamn find it. Considering these are the sons of bitches that vote for all the shit that's destroying this country.
Mr. Speaker, before us, it is not a perfect solution, but this
Cat
is
Turd,
a
yeah,
bridge,
Cat
a
Turd was
bridge
one
that
of them.
will allow us to continue the critical work of funding our troops, securing our border, supporting our farmers.
I thought I
caring
still
for
had
our
it up in a
veterans,
tab, but
and
I don't.
providing disaster relief for those in the Carolinas that we visited just last month, living in tents in freezing temperatures while illegal aliens are living
What are you doing, Ski?
at the Roosevelt
Don't come in
Hotel
here
in New
acting like
York
you
City.
blindfolded child with your night mask on.
The gentleman will suspend. The House will be in order. Allow the gentleman to be heard. It is his time. The gentleman from
Has that
Missouri
house
is recognized.
ever been in order?
Mr. Speaker,
Since the Civil War, has the House
Missouri has
ever been in order?
87,000 farms. We are losing 1,000 farms in America each month. Our food security is national security, and the Democrats do not want to support our farmers because of the high inflationary costs that this administration has brought about and the low commodity prices. Farmers are going out of business. I don't understand this consolidation of farming in America and why the Democrats are in favor of that.
Oh, I know exactly why they're in
We have
favor of it.
got to support our farmers through this bill. We have got to support our disaster
The more
victims through
stuff is
this bill.
consolidated, the more
And
shit
most
the
of
government
all,
controls.
we must support America. We are not here for ourselves. We are here for
Oh,
those
Matt,
that
I
we
wish they
represent.
hadn't.
The hardworking Americans who depend on us to set aside our differences and act with courage.
There are a
and
lot of people in that
responsibility.
building right now
They
that deserve a whole lot of
government that
tar, a
works
whole
for
lot of
them
feathers,
and
and a
not
whole
against
lot of
us.
cane
And with
slap.
that, I yield back.
They're going to
Gentleman
walk out of there
yields.
completely
The
healthy.
gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The chair would
this
remind my
Muskowitz
colleagues
up
to
next?
allow speakers to be
Muskowitz
heard.
speaks for
The
like,
gentleman
you know, just
from
breeze through
Connecticut
it.
is
Muskowitz
recognized.
speaks
I
for
just
like
remind
a
my
minute.
colleague and friend from
Then
Missouri
needs to
that
change,
the
and then
compromise
shit
bill had
really gets
support
up.
for the farmers, overwhelming support for farmers and for American families as well. At this time, I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Massachusetts, the distinguished ranking member of the Ways and
No.
Means Committee, Mr. Neal.
I'm behind.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized.
And
Thank you,
we're
Mr.
not.
Speaker.
Let's see. Hold on.
We are in favor of every request that you asked for. These were modest agreements that were reached
Oh, that's
and
right. I'm back
rendered
to watching the whole
by both
live
parties
section.
in an honest
No, I'm not. Hold on.
and public.
The House will come to order.
I'll just
Ooh,
remind my
hold on.
colleague
Already
the senator
did-
from
I didn't see
Missouri
that.
that the compromise
We gotta
bill has
watch
support
Anna-
for the
Anna
farmers,
Paulina
overwhelming
Louie do that.
support for farmers
Pretty sure that
and
did
for
that.
American families as well. At this time, I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Massachusetts, the distinguished ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Neal.
Without objection, the
back up
gentleman is
before-
recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are in favor of I'm
Yeah, I
in
did.
favor of aid to North Carolina. I'm in support of aid to the farmers in Missouri.
All right, shit.
We
I gotta
come
let
to
it
the
play.
aid of the American family at moments like this, but you walked away from your word.
Bamboo nail.
You
Oh,
walked away
good
from an
God,
agreement.
yeah.
That's what we're bothered by. A simple suggestion from the president-elect
Dude,
that
it
you
is
ought to
crazy
abandon
how
that
much
principle.
other nations
And
own
this is
as
what this
far
is
as
about.
land in the United
This is
States.
trying to raise the debt ceiling to disguise a big tax cut that they want to offer later on. In December of 2017, the TCJA was rendered, and my friends, particularly the ones that have been here for a while, you know what I'm about to say is true. You borrowed the money for a tax cut. $2.3 trillion for a tax cut for wealthy people. And when you see the distribution tables, you know who got what. We are trying to avert a government shutdown, but we're also
Now, hold on. Wait a second. And I'm gonna have to kind of set up for this one. So when Trump's tax cuts went in, I had a noticeable bump in the amount of money that I brought home. I had a noticeable bump in the amount of money that I had to go spend on things like gun parts.
Daddy,
What, buddy?
Sissy poured out.
So what do you mean sissy poured it out? This sounds like a one of them tall tales to me. Hold on, we're resolving something. Did you pour it out?
No,
Are you lying to me?
I'm lying.
Okay. You go clean it up. Hey, no, come here. Come here. Why are you telling me Sissy poured it out?
Yeah.
No, I said, why did you tell me that? No, come here.
Sissy poured it.
No, I don't see Sissy pouring your drink out.
I did.
You did. All right, I'll resolve that in a minute. But yeah, I had a noticeable bump in the amount of money I was bringing home after the Trump tax cuts. And even though they weren't permanent, I did the math on it one time on a post. And there was, I don't know, it was a pretty significant amount of money that I would keep in my pocket versus the government taking it from me. Yeah, a little fibber. Yeah. But it was a significant amount of money I'd keep in my pocket. The only thing I would like to have seen is those tax cuts become so-called permanent. The people that actually start companies that employ people that actually fuel the economy are not necessarily people like me. I don't own my own business at this point. I'm not employing other people at this point. I'm not a driver of employment at this point, even though I train people to go out into employment. I'm still working for a state. If you want to drive employment, if you want to drive growth in economies, you cut taxes for the people who are producing the vast amount of wealth in the United States. Now, they'll talk about this very, very high, whatever percent, Elon Musk and a few others, but what they will not tell you about is the vast majority of people who are so-called millionaires in the United States run businesses that are worth millions of dollars, but they claim those all on their personal income tax. Because ultimately, in our fucked up system, it's easier for them to claim it in personal income tax than it is to go through the corporate tax system. And they still have to fight with compliance. They still have to pay CPAs and all the other people to file taxes for them quarterly, whatever. Our tax system is so fucked, guys. It's not even a joke. It passed a joke decades ago, 100 years ago. So whenever they play this class warfare bullshit on you, well, Elon Musk's going to get a tax cut. Yeah, he employs a couple of thousand fucking people and pays them a very, very nice wage. So when he gets a tax cut, then he can pay them that wage, and he can invest more in his company. He can grow his company, which means he can employ more people, which means he can be on Mars in 10 years. I don't know. Fucking throw a number out there. Democrats and a lot of Republicans think everything that you make, every bit of sweat that falls off of your brow during a year to make money is their money. That's their sweat. You are, in fact, their slave. And they are being generous when they let you keep any amount of money that you make. And I'll stop that tirade right there for a second before I go completely off the rails.
Trying to subscribe to the basic principle as outlined earlier.
Yes.
We reached an agreement.
Musk pays more
It was
taxes than
honorable.
fucking
It came to the meeting of
99% of
everything you
American
asked
people.
for. And then you walk away from it? What about your word going forward here? What about the currency that I noted a moment ago? And I want to tell you, you cannot
Yeah,
win a government
absolutely,
shutdown,
frag out.
and you won't win this one either.
The pesto dollar.
We need to return to the original agreement and stick with it. The last word here I'm going to offer is this.
It's expired.
The Speaker of the House needed to keep his word on this
The gentleman's
legislation.
time,
and stay with
the
it.
gentleman will suspend.
There's Scarecrow.
The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves.
And I promise you, Roy gets up here in a
The
minute.
chair
and he
would remind my
blasts the shit
colleagues
out
to
of it.
direct comments to the chair.
He might be a speaker.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Oklahoma,
Mr. Speaker, I
Oklahoma,
yield
Oklahoma. You
to
get
my
that
good friend,
reference.
the gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Luna, for 2 minutes.
Gentlewoman from Florida is recognized for 2 minutes.
Okay. First of all the men in this chat have to agree that. Hold on, leave me a minute alone with that thought. Paulina is pretty hot and smart.
Mr. Speaker, I've never actually voted for a CR, but I'm here today because I realize that the plan that's on the table currently to keep our government open, but also the promise from the only president in my lifetime who's ever followed through on all of his campaign promises to the American people. Excuse me, I'm not done talking. Give me the same respect we give you guys.
The House will come to order. My colleagues are reminded the gentlewoman has the floor.
If you are looking for the same respect that you as Republicans give Democrats, I submit to the class, you are either being a little catty, maybe a little facetious, or just a fucking moron. And I think she's going for the catty or facetious part right there. Because if you've ever seen your wife cut eyes at you like that, yeah, there's a death that's fixing to happen.
She has the right to be heard. The gentlewoman
Yeah, Matt.
has the right to be
You,
heard.
me, and
the
every
gentlewoman
other
would be
straight guy in
reminded to
America.
direct her comments to the chair. The gentlewoman from Florida is recognized.
From the only president in my lifetime who's fulfilled all of his campaign promises to the American people, has promised to cut hundreds of $billions in reconciliation. You want to talk about shutting down the government. The deal that was negotiated was largely rejected by the American people, which, to Speaker Johnson's credit, pulled it from the floor, which is why we are here today. The deal on the table will keep the government open for the American people. And if you guys so choose to shut it down, it will be on you, but not the Republican Party. We will not be going back to the table. This deal stands as it is. So let you go back home on Christmas and explain to your people why you shut down the government, because we won't be doing it.
The House.
Furthermore, Mr. Speaker.
The House.
You better
House will
take
be
care of
open.
Lady Frag out.
The House will be in
Puke
order.
in your slippers,
The
lady.
gentlewoman is reminded to direct her comments to the chair. My colleagues are reminded,
Be careful, brother.
to
Serious.
yield the floor to the gentlewoman from Florida.
Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the former bill had items in it to include random pandemic policies, biocontaminant research that were not in the best interest of the American people. So the deal on the table is as is. You either vote for or you vote for the shutdown, but it will be not on the Republican Party, but on Democrats
And
as it
something did
stands.
just pop up
Mr.
on
Speaker,
my
I yield my
phone.
time.
Yeah, the bill didn't pass. Go figure.
Gentlewoman yields.
But again, it's like
My
30
colleagues,
Republicans voted
my colleagues,
to go
the
against
chair
this shit.
acknowledges the emotion and passion behind all arguments. Please, the House will be in order. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves. The gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
A deal is a deal. I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from New Jersey, the distinguished ranking member of the Energy and Commerce Committee, Mr. Pallone.
The gentleman is
I like to
recognized.
deal with the devil. It ain't
Thank
a
you,
fucking
Mr.
deal.
Speaker. Have the Republicans forgotten that they're in the majority? The bill that was supposed to come up was posted and negotiated by the Republican Speaker. He posted it. He negotiated it.
And
you
edited
know-
afterward.
You know that the bill that you're bringing up instead tonight will not pass. We will leave here tonight. This bill will not pass. And so you are the
Did he
ones
say
that are
piss or
creating
pass?
the shutdown. You have the power to decide what bills come to the floor. You are putting a bill on this floor that you know will
Honest
not
question.
pass and will lead to a Republican shutdown. It's on you because you have the majority. Now, I want to talk about this other bill that was supposed to come up and that you refused to bring up. This bill was negotiated because we realized, for one, in our committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee, that people were suffering, right? They were suffering from high drug prices because of pharmaceutical benefit plans, PBMs, right? And so we put in the bill on a bipartisan basis a way of trying to bring prices down with PBM reform. We knew that consumers are being screwed all over the place, right? With shady things on website when they buy things, junk fees, all kinds of deceptive practices. So we put in on a bipartisan basis that we were going to get rid of junk fees, that we were going to get rid of deceptive practices, whether it went to a concert or a hotel or whatever happened to be, because we cared on a bipartisan basis to try to bring prices down, to try to make things more fair for the consumer, for the American people. You took all that out. Why? Because a billionaire
Man, one of the life straws
Musk
up there.
decided that we were going to act in favor, or the Republicans were supposed to act in favor of corporate interests, in favor of billionaires, in favor of
Bob!
special interests.
What is up,
That's
brother?
what's going on here. You jettisoned all
Brother
the
Bob,
things
I
that
can't
we
see
worked
your
on a
name without thinking about the
bipartisan basis
movie
to try
What
to
About
bring
Bob?
prices down, be fair to the American people,
Fucking
protect
Bill
the
Murray tied to
consumer,
the mast on the
protect the
sailing boat
environment,
going, I'm
protect safety.
sailing.
And instead, you
Where
decide
my
to
brain
simply
goes,
go
man, I
ahead
can't help
with
myself.
something that you know will not pass, that will shut the government down. Don't tell me this is on our watch. This is on your watch. You're the majority. You're responsible. This is not going to pass. The government's going to shut down, and the American people are going to suffer because of you as Republicans. I yield back.
Oh, I can believe it,
Speaker,
Bob.
colleagues are reminded to direct their
What?
comments to the chair. The gentlewoman from Connecticut reserves.
Cheese
The gentleman
Kitty.
from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Your mom
Speaker.
brought an alley cat in the
We've
house,
had a lot
baby.
of
There's
talk
nothing I can do about
what's
that.
not
Throw
in
them out
this
front
bill.
door.
Maybe we'll talk a little bit about what's in this bill.
I'll throw them out
It
front door.
keeps the government open, which my friends say they want to do, and I think
launch
they're
another
sincere in
cannon.
that. This
The
does
rocket
that.
ship.
It provides
Maybe I can get
relief
Elon to build
to
me a little
people
rocket
in
ship
the
where I can launch
various
cats into
disaster
fucking
areas
space.
around the country at amounts that they agree to, and we agree to, and we share that in common. It provides aid for farmers who've suffered through several years of droughts and disaster and a systemic crisis that, as my
Someone
friend
do that
from
bitch.
Missouri mentioned, is costing us farms. It extends important health care provisions into the next year. There's nothing in here you're against. There's not a single thing in this bill that you oppose. So if you can't vote for what you're for, please don't lecture us about what, if I had this and this and this, I'd vote for it. You vote no, you're voting to shut down the government. If you vote no, you're voting to deny aid to people with disaster. If you vote no,
Don't even
you're
let it
voting
come back.
against helping American farmers and ranchers at a difficult time. And if you vote no, you're voting to strip important provisions that are being extended into next year. Why? Because you don't want to give the next president enough time to get organized. And you want to use the debt to leverage. The extension of the debt ceiling is what we've done for the last 2 years. It's what you supported 2 years ago. There's no change in that whatsoever. So if you want to fight other things and other battles, that's great. I welcome that debate. I think it's a legitimate debate. But you're voting against a bill that everything in it you support. Every single thing. And you're doing that for political purposes. So please don't lecture us about that. We present something that keeps the government open, that provides aid to people, that provides support for farmers, that extends important provisions, and you're not opposed to any of that, and you're going to oppose the bill. And if a government shutdown comes, and I sincerely hope it does not, please don't tell us that those of us that voted to
I
keep the
sincerely
government
hope
open
it shuts
while you voted to
down.
let it close are somehow responsible. That's just not the case. So, you know, I have a rule as a legislator.
The old dude putting his cell phone back in his pocket right there. I swear to God, that's a dude I've seen in a couple hearings. It's been, I don't know, at least 2 years ago. I think he's an old kind of sheriff. We'd all probably classify him as a FUD. But he's pretty good on Second Amendment stuff.
I never vote against a bill because of what's not.
And why I say the old guy behind him, because it's just the only way to describe it.
In it. I vote on the basis of the bill that comes here, and then I fight for the other things that I think are important. And extending a debt ceiling that we've done for 2 years in a bipartisan fashion, so you can use it as leverage against the new president, is something you ought to reconsider as a political tactic. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserve. Gentleman reserves. Members are reminded to direct their comments to the chair. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Florida, Mr.
Oh,
Moskowitz.
here it is.
The gentleman
Chip
from
Roy
Florida is
goes right
recognized
after
for 1
him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, denial is not just a river in Egypt. Let's talk.
And if you've watched some of my streams before, you have been introduced to Moskowitz before. And if you haven't, you're welcome for the nightmares you shall have, because him.
Talk about the last 2 years. It was the Democrats who raised the debt ceiling, not the Republicans last time. Many of you voted against it. It was the Democrats who kept over the government, not once, not twice, but every single time we needed to keep the government open.
Hold on. What did I just see? I got to change the rearrangement here. Look over what would be his right shoulder. Oh God, what is her name? But watch her, because she looks like she's doing something really dirty in the background. Now, I'll try to get this back to somewhere near the same spot.
Bipartisan fashion.
Watch her.
So you can use it as leverage
Get out of the
against
way.
the new president is something
Wait
you
till it
ought to
goes to
reconsider
Moskowitz
as
again.
a political tactic. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserve. Gentleman reserves. Members are reminded to direct their comments to the chair. The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Moskowitz.
The gentleman from Florida is recognized for 1 minute.
Dude, live life. You had a valid excuse. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, denial is not just a river in Egypt.
Okay, so when it goes to Moskowitz, look over his right shoulder. I'm dyslexic. It says right shoulder, and I can't remember her name.
Egypt. Let's talk about the last 2 years.
All right, now watch. Right shoulder, which is like right over here. If you can see the mouse swinging around in circles.
It was the Democrats who raised the debt ceiling, not the Republicans last time. Many of you voted against it. It was the Democrats who kept over the government.
They're
Not
rocking
once,
back and forth.
not twice, but every single time we needed to keep the government open, it was the Democrats who kept the government open. More of us voted for it.
I've seen those head movements from a woman before. Democrats have brought a whole new class back to Congress.
Than you. And all I've heard for the last couple of weeks about this giant mandate, landslide, trifecta, put on your big boy pants, pass your own bill. We're only here because you guys can't agree amongst yourselves. So
Even
hold
pull
on
her
a
hair
second.
back for it.
Hold on a second. Democrats will keep government open for the American people. We will mediate the disagreements between that side of the room and that side of the room. We will do that for you, but you got to at least invite us to that meeting. So if you want us to solve your problem because you can't agree amongst yourselves, reach out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time has expired. The gentlewoman.
So that's Moskowitz basically saying that Democrats can be the adult in the room. And they can't even tell you what a woman is, and they think a child should be able to be transitioned. Yeah, that's the size of this.
Reserve.
Now I think Chip Roy gets up here, and this is one of the
Thank you
things I
very much,
wanted to
Mr.
show.
Speaker, I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlewoman from Connecticut.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 3 minutes to the
Damon,
gentleman
what's
from
up,
Texas,
brother?
Mr. Roy.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 3 minutes.
This is about where I called it earlier.
When I ran for Congress in 2018, the debt was $21 trillion. I was just texting with my son back home in Austin, who I haven't seen in quite a long time because I'm here trying to fight for him. When I got through cancer about 12 years ago, I made my promise to my kids that I would do everything I can to save this country. And what we're doing right now is to continue to double down on the things that are
You too,
destroying
brother
the
Benny.
republic. We are going to increase the debt ceiling, not just $4 trillion, that's false. We have spent $4.7 trillion in additional debt in the last 19 months. We're going to increase the debt by $5 trillion. That's what's going to happen right here by Republicans, increasing the debt $5 trillion. And what are you doing in the same bill? $110 billion unpaid.
Hold on, Vulcan, you caught up with that, right? You said you caught up. That was how many trillion in how many months? Months. Not years. What did he say? 4 point something in 7 months? And that's after the whole COVID thing, and I understand there was tons of money. Trust me, I know there was millions of dollars thrown at stupid shit with COVID. Boy, was I there. But now you're into trillions within 7 months. Sam, I could not give my 8-year-old and my 5-year-old a checkbook and a pen and throw them in what used to be Toys R Us and get them to spend this much money. They could buy out the complete store, the strip mall, everything.
Paid for. Because
They
you
were
never
not
have
gonna be
any
presidential
ounce of
election.
self-respect to go out and
One
campaign,
trillion.
say
Me
you're
too,
going to
Bob.
balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for. On top of the $200 billion you did for WEP, you guys won't agree with that, But the fact of the matter is $330 billion. Congratulations. You've added to the debt since you were given the majority again on November 5th. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. Yes, I think this bill.
He is screaming to Republicans right there. He's not even talking to the left. 300 and something billion dollars added by Republicans, so-called Republicans, since they took power after the election. He's not even talking to Democrats right there. He is talking strictly to Republicans right there. So if you think these bastards will not spend us into oblivion because they got an R by their name, I don't know where you've been for decades, but okay. Maybe you woke up out of a coma yesterday. It's a number in a computer. Yeah, it is.
Bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And that's precisely what Republicans are doing.
Way nicer than
I'm
I am.
absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say,
100%,
you
Mike.
think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous. It also turns off PAYGO. It turns off the $1.7 trillion in automatic cuts under PAYGO.
Dude, Sam, you are
Because
100%
this side
right.
of the aisle is profoundly unserious about.
Dude, $1 billion. Most of us thinking about our average salary per year, month, the bills we have to pay, the things we have to pay for, we can't even fathom that amount of money. And Chip Roy's calling it out right here. They're not playing with their own money. They're playing with our money. So $1 billion is nothing to them. It's just a couple more zeros. Oh, Mike, I'm sure you got your stories too, brother.
Actually reducing deficits, just as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are profoundly unserious about reducing deficits. The entire body has been racking up debt for my.
Oh, Bob, yeah. All they have to do, since we're with the Fed these days, is someone has to go in and just add another period, another comma, add another zero. Which again, I've heard people say it before. If they can go in and they can just make that money up out of thin air, why do they have to tax us like they do? Well, because inflation is a thing. Who was it? Zimbabwe somewhere where it was like the billion or $1 trillion bill, and you had to bring a wheelbarrow of those in just to buy bread. That's where we're headed. Because when it comes down to it, people need hard resources. For me to take a product that I produce and then give that to you, you have to produce something and give something to me that is of value to me. If you've got something there that's worth $90,000 and I walk up there and hand you 10 plies of toilet paper, it's not worth $90,000 to me. I can wipe my butt with my cleanish hand and then go wash it with some soap. Doesn't matter. Yeah, Zimbabwe.
My entire life. $36 trillion. $1 trillion of interest. We rack up $1 trillion every 100 days. And what are we going to do about it? We're going to run around and talk.
Okay, I got some credit card stuff I'm dealing with right now. I'm trying to get paid off. He's talking about $1 trillion every 100 days of interest. Just the interest. That's not paying into principal. That's not going into paying down the debt. Excuse me. $1 trillion every 100 days. And these people are completely fine with it. Yeah, it's getting to the point, though, Bob, where we're looking at more and more countries wanting to get off of the U.S. dollar as their exchange currency, though. That's where we're going to run into the biggest issue.
Talk about cutting taxes, but not doing what's necessary to cut the spending
Damien.
along with the cut taxes. My other side of the aisle, my colleagues will say, oh, no, we got to increase taxes, but we'll do anything to cut spending. And so here we sit in the same mess. And I got to be honest, I want to remind people, this is Article 1. I yield back.
So that was one of the major things that I heard tonight right before I started this up that I decided to go ahead and actually pop stream off on was Chip's speech right there. Because you see two, again, we talk about two wings of the same bird. Well, you got one that wants to cut taxes, but they don't want to cut spending. That puts us into the proverbial embankment a little bit slower. And then you've got one group that wants to increase spending and increase the debt. There's a guy, hold on, I'll post him. And he did. If I can, I'm still trying to learn how to type partially right-handed because I can't get away from it. Here it is. Yep, this is it. This is a dude I've been fortunate enough to meet a couple times. And there are things, I will warn you now, there are things that you will not agree with him about. But I will tell you this, you need to be following him. And the reason I say that is because he's fucking right. He will assault all of your education, preconceived notions, your feelings, all that. And he's not rude about it in any means. But he's going to assault all those about your view of government and how government should work, federal versus state, local, all that stuff. But you need to watch it. And again, I've met the dude in person. He's an exceptionally good dude. My biggest argument in between some of the things that he says and some of the things that he talks about is why don't states have more balls to be able to stand up for their own rights? And you'll hear, he talks about the Hawaii decision. Hawaii can do whatever they want. And that pissed me off to the core. But he's right. If the people of Hawaii let Hawaii do the whole aloha thing, that's on the people of Hawaii. Bob, man, yeah, you're already subscribed to him. Good deal, brother. Brian's a good dude, man, and he is exceptionally sharp. I still want to see him, and I want to see Alex Uli do a show together. And I've put some bugs out there trying to see whether I can make that happen, but I want to see those two do a show together. I didn't know that Alex was aware of Brian until, oh God, it had to been at least a year ago because it was over a year ago. But Brian's one of those dudes, man. He's real kind of protected about who he's doing stuff with in a lot of cases. And I can understand that. And so is Alex. So I can, again, understand that. But if you guys want to learn about history, learn about The truth about the founding, if you want to learn the truth about the Constitution, how it was actually ratified, everything that went into it, if you want to see how much BS that we think we know that we don't know, Brian's a good follow. And I'll tell you this, he's always going to be honest with you. And that's one thing I respect about that dude above everything else. Alex Hooley from Forging Freedom is another dude. He's always going to be honest with you. And I respect that above everything else. I don't give a shit whether maybe they're wrong about something every once in a while. But with their depth and their knowledge, when they're being honest with you, heartfelt, honest. This is the way it is. I respect that more than anything. And I've said it plenty of times on my own channel. I'm not going to knowingly lie to you guys. I'm just not going to. I may have a different opinion. I may come at things from a different direction. I'm not going to knowingly lie to you guys. There are plenty of things, even in my own life, that I've talked about on here where I could have lied to you guys, could have played it off, not even talked about it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. And that's what I respect about them. Versus what we're watching in Congress, where you have very few people who are going to be honest about it, and you have an overwhelming amount of people who are going to lie straight to your fucking face. Like how that says, I'd smoke, and I'm like, still dying for a cigarette. And yes, it's been 10 days. I've actually smoked something. Still had nicotine, still doing patches and all the other shit, but haven't not smoked in like 10 days. I would just about go pick the fucking stubs out of a bum's ashtray right now, though. I ain't even gonna lie. Yeah, Matt, dude. Yeah, you couldn't be any more right there. Yeah, maybe one of these days we'll do a show kind of diving into some of the stuff, but yeah, it's what is a car manifold? Depends on where it's at. Could be on the air conditioner, could be on the exhaust. I'd go smoke a car exhaust right now. I wouldn't keep burning my lips on the tailpipe. And if I could make sure the engine still kept fire. I'm sorry. Still dreaming about smoking, kids. Yeah, Barton, that's where I'm at, man. That's why even like stopping at stores these days, I haven't bought a pack of cigarettes since November. When did I go in the hospital? 22nd, 20th? Maybe I got in the 20th and then cut out on the 22nd, I think. For this carpal tunnel shit. But yeah, I haven't bought a pack of cigarettes. Well, that'd make it the 18th probably. November 18th. I have not bought a pack of cigarettes. That is the longest I've gone since I was 13 without buying a pack of cigarettes. So I'm ready to chew on my desk like a fucking beaver. But I'm working on it. Nicorettes for 9 dang years. Yeah, Bob. I can see that. 1000%. And part of it comes down to, and some of you guys heard me talk about it. So, like my back surgery 2 years ago, my low back surgery, the insurance company denied it because I had nicotine in my system. What are you looking for, Mike? It is in your cup. Be careful. Do not drop. Set an ornament and cup. So they denied it because I've got nicotine in my system. With nicotine, supposedly you don't heal right, all the shit. And then the shit with my carpal tunnel in my hand kicked off. And I can wiggle fingers. I don't have enough strength in my right trigger finger to pull a trigger. I've got enough to hold a gun in my pinky and ring finger, I've got barely enough in my middle finger to pull the trigger. So I don't know, this weekend I'm probably going to spend part of my weekend doing a left-handed holster because I've got all of the normal strength in the left hand. And I have practiced offhand. I'm decent enough. I wouldn't want to be in front of me. Yes, Bob. There are 2 manifolds on every engine, intake and out, and I would want either one of them for a cigarette right now. Oh, God. I can't figure out when it's worse. When I wake up in the morning after I eat, or the while before I go to sleep at night. I'll say it's probably the while before I go to sleep at night, because I can't slow my brain down. I'm always focused on some extraneous BS, and that's where I'd sit and I'd smoke cigarettes and then finally get myself tired enough where I'd go to sleep. That's probably the worst time with not smoking. How long's withdrawal? Dude, lifetime. If it's anything like some other thing, it's a lifetime. And it's not so much the chemical, it's the habit. It's the constant manipulation. And that's what I'm trying to break now. Between the patch, the dip, trying not to light a cigarette and not have it as a plaything all the time. That's hopefully, if I can break the physical on it, I don't think I'll have too much problems with the physical. But again, I'm 47 now. I've been doing that shit since I was like 13. So yeah, been there. Anyway, let's some more of this play. I'll take care of 1 or 2 things. And I will be.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Oklahoma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
They pull
Gentleman's
this is
recognized.
a great debate.
I'm still watching.
Nice to have the discussion, but we're here to consider a specific piece of legislation. This keeps the government open. What my friends want to do by voting no
Can of root
is
beer
effectively
30
to shut
minutes
it
before you
down.
hit this.
This provides relief to people in need.
Sugar
What my
crash
friends
and
want to do by
cream
voting no is to keep that
You
from
see?
happening. This provides
gotta
aid
try
to
that.
farmers and ranchers. What my friends want to do, and they actually favor the amounts and what have you, there's been no change in that regard, ends that. This extends important protections for the American people. So if a bill's got something in it and you support everything that's in it, and we continue the debt ceiling that we've had the last 2 years, then I'm mystified as to how you can go home and explain that, as I wanted to keep the government open, so I voted to shut it down. It's amazing to me. With that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlewoman from Connecticut.
Mr. Speaker, I am prepared to close.
Gentlewoman reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma.
I still have speakers, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield 1 minute to my very good friend from Ohio, the distinguished chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan.
Gentleman's recognized.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, Mr. Speaker. This bill is real simple. This bill helps the people who grow our food.
Right.
This bill helps people who were devastated by hurricanes this past fall.
Right.
And this bill funds the government at levels the Democrats agreed to.
Right.
To keep the government open over the holidays. Why the Democrats are opposed to this, I have no idea. I have no idea. So let's vote yes and spend at the levels everyone agreed to. And then in 3 months, we can have the debate and figure out where we're going from there. But this is a yes vote. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman reserves. Gentlewoman's recognized.
I yield.
Gentleman reserves.
I yield 30
Gentlewoman's
seconds
recognized.
to the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Cohen.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you. There are a lot of things in here that were taken out of the compromise bill that were good for the American people. And one of the things was dish payments, where you give money to hospitals to treat the least among us, the poorest people that need health care. And that was taken out of the bill. That's cruel, inhuman, and anti-Judeo-Christian. And that's one of the main reasons why I oppose this bill, because the hospitals that take care of those people are doing God's work, and they need to be given the monies they've been given in the past, a one-year extension, and you took that out. That's wrong. I oppose the bill. Thank you.
Gentleman yields. Gentlewoman reserves.
Yes.
Gentleman from Oklahoma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield 1 minute to the distinguished gentleman, my good friend from New York, Mr. Lawler.
Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, we are approaching Christmas and Hanukkah. And Americans all across this country care about this debate. They care about the specifics. But what they won't understand is when you vote no to continue funding the government to provide the services that they rely on. This is a clean CR. If you don't like it because it doesn't have a whole list of ornaments on the Christmas tree, I'm sorry. But the fact is that we are keeping the government funded. By the way, I would remind my Democratic colleagues, we could actually do our appropriations work if my senior senator from New York passed a single solitary appropriations bill on the Senate floor. He passed exactly zero. The fact is, we have to keep the government funded. That is our responsibility.
An additional 30 seconds.
Gentleman's recognized.
We have to keep the government funded, live to fight another day. The fact is that we are not shutting the government down before Christmas. And I think everyone here has a responsibility to keep the government open and funded, and it requires a yes vote on this CR. It requires a yes vote on disaster relief. It requires a yes vote on providing our farmers the support that they need to put food on the table of the American people. And with that, I yield back to the chairman.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman reserves. Gentlewoman's recognized.
Yes. Speaker, I'm prepared to close.
Gentlewoman reserves.
The chair, I'm also prepared to close.
Gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
The American public has been clamoring for this body to work together, Democrats and Republicans,
Okay.
across the aisle, to do what is in the best interest of the American people.
If you think these people got
To
your
that
best interest in
end.
mind, you're an idiot.
And to give credence to what the American people are clamoring for, so they begin to have trust in us again and what we do in this body.
Bait shops.
Is that we've been
small
working since last
that's-
August of 2020.
So the biggest thing with like say going to a vape shop and trying to pick up something that's like low nicotine. When they denied my back surgery 2 years ago, Blue Cross Blue Shield, go figure. I couldn't have any nicotine in my system for 8 weeks, 0 nicotine, and I had to pass a blood test for nicotine. So I'm trying to get past the habit of the lighting, the inhaling, the fidgeting and all that with it. And then I think I can get past the chemical part of it. So that's why I haven't went with like trying to do a vape or something like that. That was for smoking coverage. Well, this is for nicotine in your system, period. So I could be getting it from a patch, be getting it from a dip, be getting it from IV, you name it. Any nicotine in the system whatsoever, Blue Cross Blue Shield denied it. which has pretty much turned my last 2 years into, well, we passed nightmare a long time ago. And yeah, I know, Z, they're not a doctor. They sure enough have a say-so over them purse strings, though, and they do make the medical industry run. I've seriously been expecting, because January 7th, I've got an epidural, which I've never had any kind of luck with epidurals for my back. And then January 9th, I'm supposed to have surgery on this wrist and this elbow to free up the nerves to hopefully get all the movement and actual strength in my fingers back. So I've fully been expecting to get a letter of them denying that shit for every day for the last 2 weeks or so. We'll see. It's always fun.
3
I could make a lot
on
of
the
jokes right
supplemental
now, but I'm
disaster
trying to
relief
behave.
bill. We worked assiduously over the next
Deciduously,
several
she
months, day in and day out. And I would just say to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I recognize I am part of what's called the Four Corners. And it was the Four Corners of the Appropriations Committee, Mr. Cole and myself and Senator Murray and Senator Collins, who wanted to get these bills done, the appropriations bills done by December
Nah, the
20th,
Senate's still
because we
screwing
believed
around.
that we could have done it and get these bills done. We were told no. We were told no. That we had to have a continuing resolution that would carry us into next year. No government should be run by continuing resolutions. That is not good governance. But there are those in this body who don't know how to govern and don't care about governing. So we worked hard.
So these are the people, and she's been in Congress for a long time. These are the people who have voted to have things so screwed up they haven't passed a budget in shit. Again, I can't remember when the last time they actually passed a budget. These are the people that constantly voted for continuing resolutions. These are the people who feed in all this pork into continuing resolutions. This is how we end up with Afghanistan getting DEI training. But all of a sudden, yeah, Matt, you got me. Continuing resolutions are bad now. Oh, let me get that straight, because you're not the one necessarily in the driver's seat. Gotcha. It's not so hard to understand when you understand these people's motivations. Not real hard at all. But yeah, we'll let the purple-haired crypt keeper keep on running the mouth. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the Senate because I'm trying to see what they come up with, and then here in the next little bit, I'll end this as long as they don't pull something crazy.
Over the last several weeks, back and forth and back, to say we can accept this, we can't accept that. We will do this, we will do that. We worked hard. And to talk about what some of my colleagues have said, the Democrats are in the minority in this body. Write the bill. They write the bill. They post the bill. They agreed on a bill.
They signed it.
And you know what? They got scared because.
Now, you want to know what happened? A couple things that happened. One, they signed on to it. They said, yeah, we'll do this. And then a bunch of the people found out what was actually in the bill. And then you guys added a bunch of extra shit to the bill. And then there were a bunch of Republicans that went, no, there's no way I can vote for that. These are the people. They would literally go through like a marriage prenup. You're a billionaire. You get a marriage prenup. You write down the marriage prenup. If she leaves me, if she cheats, she doesn't get anything. And she agrees to it. But before she agrees to it, she agrees to, if I cheat on him, I get all of his money and he doesn't get anything. And then they still expect you to sign the same prenup. This is, see, if CNN, MSNBC, and others would show shit like this, maybe, just maybe, some of the absolutely uninformed people in the United States would kind of change the way they do things, but they don't show all this, which is one reason I kind of do. Which I realize I probably won't affect anybody, but hey, if you're going to be an asshole, if you're going to bitch about shit, might as well show it off. PLA, what's up, bro, man?
Musk told them, President Musk
Happy New
said,
Year, all that stuff.
don't do it. Don't do it. Shut the government down. Imagine. What does he know about what people go through is when the government shuts down? Are his employees furloughed? Hell no. Is he furloughed? No. And when you shut the government down, people don't get paid.
Well, PLA, they had of course, the continuing resolution, which had just tons of BS built into it. Adam Schiff and Eric Swallowswell and a bunch of others, they get immunity from everything they've ever done. Such and such country gets this, such and such country gets that. And the Republicans try to argue and pass a bill tonight, which would continue the government operations, but didn't have all that other bullshit built into it. And this was the debate where the Democrats were like, no, we're not getting on board with a bill like that. It doesn't give anybody immunity for any of the decisions they made during COVID. It doesn't give Adam Schiff the immunity for lying about Trump. It doesn't give Eric Swallowswell the immunity for banging Chinese spies and lying about Trump. And it doesn't give me the immunity. So they shot it down. This was the debate end of it. The vote's already done. They already shot it down. Bang a couple more spies. He probably does.
Paid.
He probably
And
got
maybe
that
if
Hunter
none of us
Biden
got
kind
paid
of
if the government shut
quality
down,
pardon.
some people on the other side of the aisle would feel differently about where we're going in this effort. We had an agreement, but this is not different from what we've experienced over the last.
Here's a good point to say about Biden and his pardons. So, one, Democrats are doing two things with Biden's pardons. And I say Democrats are doing it because Biden ain't up on top of things to be able to do it. Democrats are protecting the Biden family. When they pardon Hunter from a bunch of shit, they basically got Biden out of all the trouble, which got his brother out of all the trouble, which got some other people out of trouble. Some of the people that he's pardoned so far, some of the embezzlement and stuff that he's pardoned, they're repaying favors. Hey, you people did us a solid. We got power now. We're doing you a solid. And then some of them he's doing are actually buying favors for in the future. Because whereas these people have been locked up, they've been in a bunch of legal trouble, they still got dirt on every goddamn buddy. So it's kind of a three-prong. It's like Triton Spear. So protect the family, repay some favors, and buy some more favors. That's Hunter or Uncle Sniffy's pardon schedule. And it ain't just his. There's some pretty heavy hitters in the Democrat Party that are pushing all that shit. And I will almost guarantee you there's some people in the Republican Party who are kind of feeding that off. Her with her hands to the sky.
Year and a half or so. Think about it. Biden, McCarthy, deal, come together. Next day, walk away. Johnson, Schumer, deal. Next day, walk away. And now this deal, walk away from it. Who do we trust in this body? And above all, can the American people trust us? Trust us
Well,
with
there's
your
been a
lives.
couple of them.
When we
You
had
talking about the
money,
one that
when
embezzled
we
like
came to
$100 million or
as
some crazy
Democrats
shit?
and Republicans, and then we were able to say, let's move forward this country. You know, one of my colleagues, I think it was Congressman Neal, who said this. The only currency we have in this body is our word. That's our
That's
credibility.
repaying favors.
That's our bond with each other.
And probably knowing where some
And when
bodies
you
are buried
break
at too.
that bond, you break the ability to try to come together and be able to govern on behalf of the people of this country. What was left out of this bill, I understand what's in it, but what's left out is unconscionable, particularly in the areas of maternal
Gentlewoman's time has
mortality.
expired. The gentlewoman's.
I implore my colleagues to vote no on this bill.
The gentlewoman yields.
So just because she mentioned maternal mortality right there. Maternal mortality can go as extreme as a woman has a baby 5 days ago. Her husband's taken her to the store. They get killed in a horrific car accident. That's counted as more maternal mortality. That's how skewed their metrics are. Much like the school shooting metrics and all the other horse shit that leftists throw out. And they'll never throw any hard numbers at you. So her throwing the emotional argument up to this, saying, no, we got to pass our bill because our bill had all this other stuff in it. Well, you know what I know, and anybody with half a fucking brain knows it's bullshit. But this is the world we live in. Some news organization will pick that little soundbite out and they'll show her fighting for the fight against maternal mortality. And that's all you'll see. They won't give you the actual numbers behind it, won't give you the facts behind it.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I inquire how much time I have left?
1.5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
This
I
was
yield
right
myself
for the
the
actual
balance of my
vote.
time.
Gentleman's recognized.
And then
It's been an interesting debate. It's been a good
after
debate.
this.
It's been a lot of interesting points made. But
Unless
the
the
fact
Senate
is,
pops off with
there's
something crazy.
nothing in this legislation that you oppose. You don't oppose keeping the government open. This keeps it open until March 14th. We're going to be voting for that in overwhelming numbers. You
Yeah, you
support
did, G.
aid to people in distress. This bill does that. You're going to be voting no. We're going to be voting yes. We think the rural economy is in crisis. There's important aid in here for it. Aid, you support it. We're going to be voting for it. You're going to be voting against it. That's just the facts. You consider legislation one piece at a time. There's not a single thing in here that you oppose, except maybe the debt limit extension, which is the same debt limit extension you supported 2 years ago. So I urge my colleagues to vote yes and keep the government open, help people in need, help the rural economy, and let us move forward with our work. With that, Mr. Speaker, I urge passage of the bill and yield back.
Gentleman yields.
Oh,
The
dude.
question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill, H.R. 10515? Those in favor say aye.
So I think they go to a roll call vote here. They do a voice vote. They go to a roll call vote. The judge that PLA brings up, this dude was taking juveniles, first-time offenders. It was a private prison system, and the private prison system was making money off of how many bodies they had in that jail. I saw a brief little bit of the story a couple nights ago. I looked at some other stuff about it. So this judge was like, fuck it. They're going to give me some kickbacks off this money. So any juvenile that comes in front of me, I am going to sentence them to the max or above the max, and they're going to that facility. Guaranteed. I'm putting them right on in there. And this judge made a lot of money off of taking kids that, oh, you got caught drinking underage. Guess what? You get 5 years. What? That used to be like an ass whooping. don't do it again kind of deal. Nope. We're sending you right to that prison. And by the way, just because you got drunk underage, you're going to be in there with kids who have actually murdered and raped and assaulted people just because you decided to get drunk at a party. You had no violent intent. You didn't rape anybody, you didn't rob anybody, you didn't murder anybody, you didn't cause anybody any fucking problems besides the fact that your dumb ass had a hangover. God knows I've been there. Yeah, prison. Now this is juvie, and people don't think a whole lot about juvie, but I promise you, a lot of the guys that I've seen, yeah, they did time in juvie. All juvie was basically a training camp for them, and then they became adult criminals, kept doing the same shit as adults. And juvie, and they didn't get into it to the one story. For the one story that I saw, and I have not had the fucking heart to look into it any further, those kids get abused by the guards. And the one lady I saw in one story, and I have not looked all the way into her stuff, I can kind of get a feel for the way things happened. I'll bet money that kid was abused, not just by inmates, and he couldn't deal with it, and he's the one that ended himself. Other kids that they talked about in that interview did themselves much later. There's a really good movie about something like that. Brad Pitt, a few other good actors, and the guards don't end up so well in the long run, but that's not how life works. When you take young people and put them in as wards of the state. And that's one of the judges that Joe Biden pardoned. Or did he? No, he didn't pardon him. He commuted his sentence, didn't he? So it wasn't a pardon. You're no longer guilty. He commuted it and just got the dude out of prison. And yeah, that is a damn tough movie to watch. If you realize the subject matter, it's a tough fucking movie to watch. Much as I hate Robert De Niro, he played a good part in the movie. Brad Pitt, the other guys, great parts in the movie. But yeah, life don't work out that way. We don't live in fairy tales, and that was a fairy tale. He was under house arrest, just commuted a sentence. Oh, it's an absolute shitbag move. The chick who was she was in prison when COVID hit for embezzling millions of dollars. When COVID hit, she got moved to house arrest because house arrest is so bad. And then he commuted her sentence. So now this dude's on house arrest. He commutes his sentence. So this dude gets to go back about his life. And the people that him and the justice system absolutely victimized, they're just fucked. Unless they're strong people and they can get past it. You know, I got no problems with the shit I did, the time I did, anything like that. Fuck, it is what it is. Could it have been different for someone who hadn't had any charges before, hadn't been arrested before, anything like that? That could have been different. But it is what it is, man. I was 22, 23. Ride out loud. But you take these young kids for nearly being intoxicated underage, take them away from their parents, put them as a ward of the state, move them into private prisons. They get abused. There's these things where you can put limbs in and they just chop them up into all these little pieces. And they like throw chips out of them. And that's where these judges should go. Dude, I'm not a huge Pitt fan, but there's been some stuff he's played in that I liked. That was one of them. That was absolutely one of the movies that I liked that he played in. There's some other stuff I could watch him in, not watch him in. I wasn't massive. I wasn't the Pitt bro, but it was a good movie. And the premise of the movie was good. It's just too bad that stuff in real life don't necessarily work out that way. The less he needs to act, the better. I'm not saying you're wrong at all. Come on, man. At least tell me you like 12 Monkeys. Yeah, it was 12 Monkeys, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 12 Monkeys. At least tell me you like 12 Monkeys. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm disowning you till you watch it. And it is a really weird movie. I would suggest not being sober when you watch it. I was in 12 Monkeys. It was Brad Pitt, Bruce. I'm losing my damn mind. Oh, there were a couple good actors in the movie. But yeah, at least tell me you watched 12 Monkeys. Snatch was a really good one for him too. Yeah, Willis, Bruce Willis. Can't believe I couldn't remember Willis's last name. It's like Christmas, and I still gotta watch that again. Because I don't give a shit what any of you bastards say. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. It is the only movie that you have to watch legally before Christmas. Until Hans Gruber falls off the Nakatomi Tower, it is not Christmas. Z said, some monkeys. Yeah, Barton, you ain't wrong, brother. Yeah, you are not wrong. De Niro was one of those dudes, after watching a lot of his movies, you could kind of tell he was on that end of the spectrum, but you couldn't tell he was on that autistic end of the spectrum until Trump hit, and then he went full off the rails. And then he's just whiny bitch the whole way. And I mean whiny bitch. There's no question about it. Which kind of makes me think he might be on some flight logs for a Steenish person, which could lead him to maybe getting in actual trouble one day, which would make me laugh hysterically. Just being honest. Violent Night is good. I don't think I've ever watched Violent Night. I don't think I ever have. Was that the newer one, or is that the older, like Santa Claus jacked up, shoot 'em up movie back in the day? I'll tell you a good movie with De Niro and Al Pacino, Val Kilmer. Some of you guys already know where I'm going. Once I mention those three names, is Heat. 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 If you haven't watched that movie before, you've got to watch that movie. I didn't realize till the other night that's where Risky Krisky got his mask from. He mentioned it. He was on with Dark. Was it Dark or Red Dawn he was with the other night? But that's where he mentioned he got his mask from, was from Heat. And that's the freaking... Oh, no, I'm not throwing it out there. Anyway, that's where he got his mask from, was that movie. And that movie was freaking great. Dude, the original time I watched that movie, I had to get it on 2 VHS tapes because it was so damn long. That's how far back my gray ass goes. Yeah, I've heard people talk about Val Kilmer's Combat Reload in that movie, in the rehearsals for the movie and in the actual video for the movie where he turned and did his reload. That's where a lot of people have talked about combat reloads, not necessarily just coming from him, but it being taught to him and that kind of growing out of it. The original version of Heat on YouTube. Oh shit, dude. I probably still have it on my I thought I canceled it like a year and a half ago. I still have, for some reason, a freaking Netflix or something account where I still have Heat on it. And that's just a great movie. You saw it in the theater? Yeah, PLA, you're an old bastard, man. I didn't. I think I rented it from a Blockbuster or what was it? It was Blockbuster movie something. I remember when I rented it. It was in Slidell, Louisiana. I rented, I think me and a buddy's dad watched it. Pretty sure. Yeah, it's in Slidell, Louisiana. Santa versus Kill Squad. Oh, shit. They'll make Santa do some shit. Oh, the original version of Heat. I got where you're going, Damon. Yeah, because it was a remake. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know that till a couple of years ago that was a remake. And I don't think I've ever watched all the original. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've never watched all the original of it. But I have watched the remake of it probably way too many times for a sane, normal human being. They have all the good guns in it, the MP5s. Oh man, dude, if I can get this set me built and this set me runs, and I mean it's dependable running, and I learn enough from it, there will be an MP5 build in my future if I have to go sell plasma, because it's basically the same fold receiver, weld receiver. Yeah. And that's probably my next big gun to build if I get this set me done all the way and I get this set me running like I need to. Because when it comes down to it, that roller delayed, you just take it from 308. And yes, obviously there are some differences in it, but overall, you ain't that far off from what I see, and I'm uneducated as hell between a set me and an MP5. I'm uneducated as hell. I'm admitting that freely. From what I see, you're not all that far off from building a set me to building an MP5. And if I build my own MP5, you guys are going to see daddy dancing in like freaking string bikini thong. And yeah. So maybe y'all don't want me to get the money to do that. It would involve less therapy for you guys. A lot less therapy. Like a lot less therapy. It's not going to involve any therapy for me because fucking you guys showed it for the show. I can be a demented asshole. What are you looking for?
A little bit of hair brush. Maybe white braid with it.
I don't know whether that was in here. That one. Sorry, we were apparently looking for hairbrushes, which is funny because I need hairbrushes all the time, and my daughter loses hairbrush all the time. Agorizer, what's going on, my brother? Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy all the other things. Oh, shit. What's going on here? I'm sorry. Switch back to the Senate for a minute. Kind of rhymes, doesn't it? Switch back to the Senate for a minute. I'm hoping in the next day or so, just to give you guys a heads up, I'm hoping in the next day or so, I had one set of oral arguments that I listened to, I think probably last week. There was another set of oral arguments that Warsaw sent me today. Matter of fact, they were still going on live, but I was on the road doing stuff, running around with kiddos and stuff. And hopefully we'll do another segment of oral arguments before Christmas hits and we're all done. And fuck, man, I've been done for the last few months, but we'll still share them out there. Congress is going to steal our money. Yeah, the Congress makes the Grinch look like a fucking amateur because their heart's not going to grow 3 sizes and they're not going to give it back. At least with the Grinch, I mean, if you're the old cartoon, he's holding the sled up, the dog's dangling, the sled's full of shit. His heart grows like 3 sizes, and he pushes the sled over. Yeah, our Congress has no hopes of doing that shit, guys. If anything else, they're just gonna like run back down to town and pick the little fucking pea that they missed and go snatch that shit up and run away with it. Because hold on, the original thing with the Grinch was his heart was 3 sizes too small. See, I just watched it with kids the other night. Because it is on YouTube. It's just in a couple parts, like 3 parts. And that is a must go to Christmas movie for the kiddos. You know, the dog with the old one antler standing straight up on his head and cut off. Yeah. And if anybody out there doesn't know the original Grinch, how dare you? I'm more depressed now. Christmas is supposed to be happy. Oh fuck! There was something else just ran across my damn brain. I was going to show you guys. No, I'll leave that for tomorrow. I don't feel like doing a bunch of Control-Alt freaking searching tonight. Now, Alabama, for those of you who are, if you're in Alabama, our legislature comes back in, I think, in February. We've got a bunch of anti-gun bills these assholes trying to push. New districts and all. Let's see. Hold on. Let me make sure. Because the turkey should go live right about 9, right? I think what I'm going to do, nope, tactical turkeys are live now. So I tell you what, let me end this one here. Let me throw the link out for the turkeys. If my computer will not be absolutely retarded. So let's do this. Because I'm going to end this one here. Because turkeys are live. Let's go hang out with the turkeys. And let's go talk some mad shit to them, because God knows we love the turkeys. And then hopefully I make it till dark comes on, and we'll hope, well, dark goes live. We'll talk shit to dark. But let's go hang out, man. Let's do something that's hopefully nowhere near as fucking retarded as the shit we've been doing for the past oh, how many hours this has been going on. So there's a link. Let me post it. Let me pin it. Oh, what the? I'm trying to pin a chat. Well, I'm going to type some bullshit in the chat. Da la la la. Because I'm trying to pin the link in chat, and it's asking me if I want to ban myself. And it's still not letting me go. I'm clicking on my own chat. I have 3 options. Delete comment, put user in timeout, ban user, and delete comments. All right, hold on. No, I know what I'm doing. Oh, that's what I did. I killed my other tab. Anyway, you guys get over there. Let's go to the turkeys, man. Let's go hang out. Let's go have a little bit more fun. Let's do something a hell of a lot more lighthearted than bullshit we've been doing. You perks, get out of here. Let's go. All right, I'll give you guys a minute or two. I'm going to finish this one, and then we'll go talk shit with the turkeys. I love all you guys to death. I really do. I hope all of you guys have a very Merry Christmas. Let's do at least something in the next little bit that kind of gets away from the and I'm trying to tell myself this, that gets away from the normal bullshit that we tend to run in every single time. So let's get over there. Let's go talk shit to the turkeys. Tell fucking Dust he's a big girl. Tell freaking Fish he's got a really little boat. And that, something. Come on, let's go talk some shit. And quit. Just get away from the serious end of this shit. Go to the turkeys. And then hopefully we'll make it to dark tonight. I should make it to dark tonight. I don't have to be up at the butt crack of dawn with kiddos in the morning. And I really don't see, well, there's caveats, kids. There's wives, there's kiddos. So I really don't see myself going to sleep anytime real soon. Go to the turkeys. Go into the light. Go into the light. We're going there. That's where we're. Yeah, it's over there. I'm dyslexic. Over there. I'm going to the turkeys. Go to the turkeys. Let's go hang out. Let's shoot some shit. All right. Z said he's over there now. All right. I'll tell you what. We're killing this one here, kids. Love all you guys to death. I should talk to you guys before Christmas and all that shit. Merry Christmas, guys. Spend some time with the family. Hang out. Unplug. Please, for the love of God, unplug for a little bit. I'm out. You perks be cool. Keep that thing on you at all times. Let's go. We're out.